Like, I even feel awkward podcasting alone with someone.
Yeah, I know, it's really weird.
Even with another podcast.
I know. I know. It's like really embarrassing for some reason.
Okay. Hi! Look who it is! It's Caitlin from the Wooljewel. We're in Maastricht. We're at the Vrijthof Square. And Caitlin's just visiting. Going to Amsterdam later today.
Yep. Just doing some shopping.
Yeah. Maastricht, you gotta get some yarn stores. It's essential for podcaster meetup. Yeah. Hi everyone, and welcome to a new episode of the New Leaf Podcast. This is my podcast about knitting and crocheting, but mainly my journey to becoming a full-time crochet and knitwear designer. My name is Carmen, and for the moment you can still find me as crafty_queens on Instagram, and craftyqueens.nl is my blog. But in the next couple of weeks I will do a full rebranding to New Leaf Designs. So I will have a change of social media handles, but all of my new social media handles will be visible from my old handles. So, that will all become clear when the rebranding has been done, because I'm still in the middle of it now. Yeah, so after rebranding, I will be New Leaf Designs or newleafdesigns.nl on most social media. Exception is Ravelry, where I am Caramelletje. Don't know if I'm gonna change that, so yeah, we'll see. I have lots of things to talk about with you today, so I'm afraid it will be kind of a long episode, but yeah, so was the last one. I thank you all so much for your support for that one. Most of you seem to enjoy it. Yeah, so I'm not too worried about the length of the podcast, so yeah. I have a couple of events I'd like to talk about, as well as some works in progress and some new cast-ons, and a lot of yarn piggery. I love that term. I've been very naughty and bought a lot of yarn. Yes. So I will post all of the timestamps down below. So if you're interested in skipping a section, just feel free to check the description box. Today I'm wearing my very first hand knit sweater. I'm gonna try and give you a better view of it. Or maybe I should just zoom out. No, not zoom in. Okay, yeah, that's better. So it's a sweater with all over cables, except for the underarm. No, that's not the underarm. We know, this section. The rest is all cabled, and it was knit in pieces on straight needles and then seamed. So it's seamed at the shoulder here. This was a 3 needle bind off, I remember that. And the sleeves are also knit flat and then seamed very, yeah, unprofessional here. And I also seamed all of this. That was really tricky to do, but yeah, so this, I'm not sure when I started this sweater, probably more than 5 years ago. Yeah, and it took me from start to finish about 2 years, but for 1 year in between I was studying abroad and I didn't take the project with me. So yeah, just say I worked on it for a year. I found a picture in a fashion magazine of a Prada sweater, and it was baby blue with big cables, and it was oversized, and it was gorgeous. And I decided I wanted to knit it. I had only knit a wonky scarf, and that's about it, I think. And then I just figured, oh, let's knit a sweater. Yeah, so I went to my local yarn store and I got the yarn for Sinterklaas, which is the Dutch Christmas. It's Cool Wool by Lana Gossa. It's a merino. I don't know the fiber content, so I think it's 100% merino, but it might also be a blend. So and she found, the yarn store owner found a stitch pattern for me that was very similar to the Prada sweater, and then she helped me draft my own pattern. So the stitch pattern, it's a 12 stitch cable, 11 or 12 stitch cable, and there are, let me show you on the sleeve, there are 6 knit stitches, and those are all twisted, and then in between there's purl stitches, see? So I actually think there's 11 stitches, since it's 6 knit stitches and then 5 purl stitches in between. And it wasn't my very first cable. I actually had done a cable scarf, I think. Yeah, but I love it. And then there's a bunch of purl stitches in between the cables, maybe 4 or 5. And yeah, so the yarn store owner, she said, well, just take a sweater that fits you nicely and take the measurements from that, just flat, and make a swatch and then measure so and so and so. So she just taught me how to draft my own pattern, and yeah, it was just a really great experience. I would, of course, it would take me a long time to complete each section. So, for example, I would work the sweater up to here, and then she would tell me, okay, you need to cast off these stitches and also on this side. And then I learned that I cannot, you know, on one row you can only cast off on the beginning of that row and not on the end. So you'd have to turn your work and then cast off on the next row. And I remember I would feel anxious about this, like, oh no, there would be 1 row difference. You know, it really doesn't matter, but and I remember going back to that store every 2 weeks and just, you know, asking the owner to help me with the next section, and she was just so kind and helpful and patient, and yeah, and it just resulted in this beautiful sweater that I really enjoy wearing and still fits me perfectly, and it doesn't show any pilling. So yeah, I'm really happy with it. So yeah, that's what I'm wearing. Kind of long section about it, but yeah. So I'm sorry to say that there's not a real pattern you can follow, but just goes to show how amazing local yarn store owners are. So keep that in mind and visit your local yarn store once in a while, and you know, ask for their expert help, but only if you bought the yarn from them. Don't be that person who gets the yarn at a different store and then goes to another store for help. So first up, I'd like to talk about my mystery knit-along progress, which would be the mystery knit-along Speckle and Pop by Stephen West. I think the finished shawl has been revealed for over a month now. I was really enjoying the mystery part of it, which is why I tried to keep it a secret for myself for as long as possible. Of course, that didn't go really as planned, but you know, that was also to be expected because a lot of people post about it on Instagram and Ravelry and on Facebook, and I was just bound to come across an image. And I did. I think about 3 weeks ago I saw the first glimpse, and then I quickly scrolled away from the image. But now I'm working on the second to last clue. I have pretty much an idea of what it's gonna look like, and I kept seeing more images and scrolling away quickly, and yesterday I just decided to look at the revealed photos. So yeah, so I know what it looks like now, and I'm gonna show you my progress. But if you are still into keeping the whole mystery a mystery, which I completely understand, just skip to the next section, so you won't be spoiled. Yeah, so ready? Let me untangle my shawl. Yarn is rolling. Yep. Okay. So, I have to be really careful with the needles because there are 800 plus stitches on these needles. Yeah. This is what I have so far. Whee! So, it's kind of bunched up. I can't really show you properly, but this section is clue 1. It's what we started with, and then there's a big wedge. You can see it's starting right here, the light or the pink wedge, and it's slowly growing. It's really wide on this side. That was clue 2. And then above that, which is the darker red-brown section with holes in it, that's clue 3. And I'm still working my way through that. So clue 3, it's a lot of work. It really is a lot of work. You start by doing these little triangles all the way across the shawl, and there are about 30 of them, and then you have these big gaps in between the triangles, and then there's 2 options. There's a garter option and a brioche option. And because I wanted to learn as much as possible from this pattern, and yeah, I wanted to do the brioche section. So, and even in the brioche, there's a garter section right here, and then above the big gap, there is a brioche section. So, so I made some brioche swatches. My, that's a tongue twister. I will show you those later, as I will also talk about how I learned brioche, because I figured I wasn't gonna do so I wasn't going to practice on the shawl because I would have had to rip out and 800 plus stitches. I'm not risking that. And with the really big gap here, it would just have been horrible to put in a lifeline or something. So yeah, I tested it on a different swatch, and then I just applied it to this shawl, and it worked out quite, yeah, it's pretty okay. I haven't run into any difficulties yet with the brioche, so that's fine. And even if there's a mistake, I mean, one little mistake, you won't even see it. Yeah, before I, you know, maybe it would have bothered me enough to go back and fix it, but now, no. Yeah, and another thing about this part is that you have to put stitch markers in between each brioche and garter section. So there's about 62 stitch markers here. And I started off here, you can see, using my really pretty stitch markers. They're just, can you see this? Just small clasps like this, see? And then I ran out of those, and I used cotton thread, just tied in a loop. And then I got tired of doing that, and I figured, why not use bread clips instead? So these are, I don't know if they're really called bread clips, but they're like plastic bits with metal wiring inside, and you can twist them and they will hold that shape. So I just twisted them into a circle and use those as it was quicker to make. Yeah, so it's kind of fiddly with all those stitch markers. And right now I've taken out a few right here, and I'm just going through one whole repeat excuse me, of the pattern and seeing if I really need those stitch markers, because you are, you know, there are other indicators that you are starting a new section, so I'm wondering if I can just do it without it. Because, you know, slipping the stitch markers is kind of, it's adding an extra chore to the 800 plus stitches, especially these, since I made these really loose and they get twisted up and they get knit into the next stitch, so that's not really yeah, that's not really fun. But overall, I'm having a really good time knitting this shawl, although it takes a long while for me to get through one repeat. And I'm also wondering if I'll use some of the contrast colors in this section, because the next clue 4, which is the last one, is just going to be a contrast color bind off, the I-card bind off. So that's just going to be contrast color. I think I'm going to use the pink one for that. I think that would be quite nice. And I've heard someone say that if you already work some of the contrast colors into the brioche section, that would be, you know, it would just look more cohesive. So I'm think I'm gonna try that, but and also because I only have a little bit of these of this main color left, so I will swap this main color, it's kind of a rusty brown, with this main color, so that will show on the front. See that? So I will swap that out with the red when I run out of the other main color. Ooh, everything's falling. And I might swap out the lighter main color. I still have a lot of this, but I would love to save a little scrap and use it in a different project too. I could swap this out with any of the other I'm making a mess of things. Any of the other color pops. So I'm thinking about that. I think it will be fun. And looking at the finished shawl, so these, there's gonna be a like triangle point over each. I'm not quite sure, but they're gonna be triangles all along the edge. And I've never really liked any shawl with those big pointy edges, so I'm not quite sure how wearable this is going to be for me. So I might even shorten the edging so that it would maybe be more wearable, because I do really like the main section of the shawl. Yeah, but another part of me is saying, nah, just go for it. You know, I shouldn't make it less Stephen Westy, right? I should just go for it. So we'll see how that goes. I believe there's also an instruction for crocheting with the contrast colors into this big gap here, and then you can add a little crochet edging to that and choose different contrast colors as you go. Not sure if I'm gonna do that, because I don't know. I saw the finished shawl by the dyer behind Hedgehog Fibers, Beta, I think, or Beata. I'm not sure how her name is supposed to be pronounced, but she left that part out, and I really liked hers, her version of it. So I don't think I'm gonna do the crochet edging. Yeah, but yeah, I'm excited to almost be done with this. Although I have a 800 plus stitch I-cord bind off ahead of me, and also quite a few more rows of brioche, so yeah. But I might have it finished for the next podcast. So let me tell you a bit more about the brioching I did and how I learned to brioche. I have my swatch right here. I did a little tiny swatch. It's still on the needle, so I might still experiment a little bit with it. And I did some increasing and decreasing, and I really love the backside too. I really like this two-color effect. A couple of weeks ago, the designer behind Knit Graffiti, who is Leslie Ann Robinson, she and Craftsy published a new Craftsy class with Leslie as the instructor. And it's all about brioche lace, and you'll there's one of her patterns included, and you'll just learn how to do brioche lace. But you don't really learn how to do the basic. She starts by showing you how to do the decreases and increases. So for the brioche basics, I went to my friend's blog. My friend Sarah has a blog, Crafts from the Couch, and I'll put the title of her blog in the screen, and also down below a link to her brioche segments or brioche tutorials. She has a really great tutorial on 2-color brioche, and this might seem as common knowledge to, you know, experienced knitters, but I actually didn't know that for the 2-color brioche you start 2 rows, like 2 rows after each other. You start from the same side, so so you start with both yarns on the same side, and after those 2 rows you end up with both yarns at the other side, and then you can turn. So yeah, so I should have been more careful reading it, because first I just yeah, I just messed up. I did the first row, and then I turned, and then I did the second row, which was supposed to be the contrasting color with the main color again. And then anyway, so I learned the basics from Across from the Couch tutorials. She has a tutorial for flat brioche and also for brioche in the round. And then for the decreases and increases, I watched the Craftsy class by Leslie Ann Robinson, and it's surprisingly simple to do, and I had so much fun because the brioche stitch names or the abbreviations for brioche purl are BRP, and for brioche knit it's BRK. So Leslie tells you to burp and bark stitches, like, oh, let's bark these 3 stitches, and I was, yeah, it was just yeah, just funny. So I had a lot of fun doing this swatch, and I'm making it out of a super soft yarn which is called Scheepjes Eliza. It's 100% polyester, and it's just super soft. Let me try and get that texture. So it's, yeah, it's just super soft. It's really loosely spun. So you have to be careful not to split the yarn, as it's just very loosely spun. And I use this chartreusey green color together with this kind of marled blue color. It's really pretty. Yeah, and so I can really recommend both tutorials, so from Across from the Couch and also the brioche class on Craftsy from called Brioche Lace. So I'm looking forward to doing more brioche projects. So I've done a lot of work on my Christmas knit gift list as well. So as I've said in the past many episodes, I'm knitting a lot of socks for Christmas gifts, and I have about 12 pairs in it in total. Yeah, and I have 3 pairs left, and of those 3 pairs I have, no wait, anyway, I've narrowed it down to just a few pairs, and I have knit 2 half pairs in the last 2 weeks. So this is, well, I just have to snip the end off here, but it's finished, one sock. This is a immense sock, and I've used the Hermione's Everyday Sock stitch pattern for it, but the rest I pretty much changed from the pattern. So I've done a toe up, the original pattern is cuff down. So toe up, contrasting, toes, heels, cuffs. I then did the stitch pattern, a German short row heel, and a 1x1 rib. The yarn is Drops Fabel, and I like how it looks, but there were some very thin bits in the yarn, so I placed a hairpin here where I need to go back and kind of do a duplicate stitch because the yarn was very thin there and I didn't feel like snapping it and weaving in the end, so I'll just, you know, I'll have to weave in the ends of the duplicate stitching anyway, but yeah. Yeah, so I'm pretty happy with how this turned out. So I'm using this really pretty chartreusey green color as the contrast and this navy blue as the main color. So I've done that. That's one sock. And then I've also completed another sock for my boyfriend. Yeah, because he saw me working on his dad's sock and he has been begging all year for a new pair of socks. I have already knit him a pair of socks and then his mother has thrown it into the dryer, so it's felted, but he still wears it, so that's nice. But yeah, so he asked for a new pair of socks. He picked out this yarn himself. It's Manos del Uruguay, Alegria. I forgot the colorway name, but it's yeah, kind of camouflagey colors. And it pools a lot, as you can see. It really pools, and I'm not a big fan of this, but yeah, my boyfriend thinks it's cool, so whatever. Yeah, and because the yarn is so soft and so, yeah, it's just is very soft and also quite thin. It does have 25% nylon, but it just doesn't feel strong at all. So I put in a contrasting color toe and heel. This is some dark gray Regia I had left, and yeah, I'm more confident in this yarn than in the Allegria for, you know, not resulting in any holes. So yeah, and the yarn was so stretchy that I had to go down not many needle sizes because I only have 2 sock needle sizes, but I had to go down to a 60 stitch count, which is the same stitch count I use for my socks, and my boyfriend has 10 YU sizes bigger feet than me, so he's size 46, 47, and I'm 36, 37, so that's crazy. But the yarn is just so stretchy, and it's I haven't snipped the yarn yet because I'll have to redo the ribbing as it's not tight enough, so it's just kind of drooping. So I have to go back. I just did this last night. I have to go back before the ribbing and then just decrease 4 stitches and then do the ribbing again. And I think I will just do a regular bind off and not a super stretchy bind off, because usually it fits well around the foot, around the leg, but yeah, this one, it just stays flared out and I don't like the look of it. And also, it's really weird. Usually I have to be really mindful with my yarn if I'm knitting socks for large feet. So I was weighing it when I was about here. And I don't know if my scale is wrong, but it said I still have 96 grams left. And I thought it was a 100 gram ball. So I'm gonna have to find the label again and figure out if it maybe was a 120 gram scale. Because I have so much yarn left over according to my scale. Yeah, so that's weird. So I'll just redo the ribbing with fewer stitches, 56 stitches for a large man size. Can you even imagine? Yeah, and then I'll guess I have enough for the second sock. If I don't have enough, I'll cry, but anyway, so 2 half objects. But the last week, so those 2 socks were from 2 weeks ago. And then the last week, I've been kind of naughty and ignoring the Christmas socks that I still have to knit. And I decided to cast on a new project, or cast on. I started a new project because it's crochet. I'm not sure what the equivalent is of casting on. So I had the idea of making a crochet sweater with this really sparkly yarn. It's called Scheepjes Stardust. It's a blend of 11% mohair, 11% wool, 75% premium acrylic, and 3% polyester, which is the kind of the Selena, but it's called metallic polyester. So I'm not sure, yeah, you can see the twinkle. It's very subtle. Yeah, so I really like that. And I wanted to combine it with a cotton thread. Maybe you can see it. Yeah, it's a really thin cotton thread. This is not the color I actually used, but it's the color I used for the swatch. So believe it or not, this is the same ball. There is beige in here. See? There it is. So this is the variegated, one of the variegated colorways, and I did a swatch. I was envisioning a really wide boxy sweater with lace panels. I've done it also in the cotton thread, but a different color. And just some slight ribbing detail at the bottom, and then some really narrow and short sleeves. Kind of like the boxy sweater, but a bit different and crochet. So I swatched for 2 different kinds of ribbing. One is post and front treble stitches. So it's not sure how to explain it. So instead of going into a crochet stitch, you go around the back. So from the back around the front, sorry, and then to the back again. So then the kind of braid you see on top of the stitches, do you see that braid? It kind of looks like a knit cast on edge. So that is then turned to the front, so you see that braid just laying on top of the stitches. And I quite like that. It really looks like kind of knit ribbing, but it makes the fabric curl even when blocked. And if it's a sweater, I don't really want to heavily block it, because I'm not gonna do that every time I have washed the sweater. So instead I crocheted into the front loop every wrong side row. So the other loop is left here, and you also have this visual line. So it kind of looks like ribbing, but it isn't. Yeah, so that was the swatch. And then I have completed one front, or the back. It's gonna be the same anyway, so I've completed either the front or the back in the past week. And you can see the lacy panels and the faux ribbing. It's harder to see on this dark color, but I can assure you it's there. Yeah, so it's worked sideways, and then I have put these markers here to indicate where I decreased just a little bit for the neck edging. It will be a very just a boat-necked sweater, really wide. And then when I finished that, I started the front, or the back, just last night, or yesterday morning actually. So I started to do that, and I will just, it will just be exactly the same. And then I'll seam them at the shoulders and at the waist. And then I'll crochet the sleeves directly onto the body. Yeah, so I'm really excited about that. So this is the actual color I'm using. You can see the glitter a little bit more, it's not as subtle on this one because the main color is dark. So it's a lovely dark blue. And I'm envisioning this as a sweater you would wear to Christmas parties or New Year's Eve, where you just wear it over a black dress, or you know, any type of dress. But just because I feel like a lot of the festive, Christmassy or wintry, you know, party clothes are all way too cold, and I would like some more party sweaters. And I think that's where this comes in, because you know, it has glitter, it has lace, but it's still warm and cozy. So I think that would be great. And I'm still debating about what to call this sweater. I'm thinking maybe, so I was thinking maybe the fairy dust sweater, or a New Year's Eve sweater, or what do you think of the stargazer? I really like that, since it's, you know, kind of a starry night. Yeah, that might be it actually, the stargazer. Anyway, so using those, I really like using contrasting yarns together. I don't mean in color, but in fiber content. Yeah, so I think I will be done with that in the next week. And then I can stop being naughty and go back to my Christmas knit list, what I actually have to knit. So those were all of the projects I have been working on the last couple of weeks. And now let's commence the big yarn piggery. I got a lot of yarn, and I apologize in advance if this is not what you'd like to see. I know some people don't like seeing a lot of yarn purchases, and sorry about that. But I still, you know, I got some lovely goodies and I'd like to share them with you. So for those of you stick around, yay! So it all started when I went to the Kreadoe, which is a craft fair here in the Netherlands, and it was 2 weeks ago, just after I finished recording my last vlog, and I was planning to do some Kreadoe footage, but I only shot some Instagram stories on my phone, and yeah, I just did that directly from the Instagram app, so it wasn't saved on my phone, so I don't have any footage of that. But it was a lot of fun, and I was at the Scheepjes booth all day with my blogger friend Jelina, and it was just a lot of fun, and we received some goodies, and yeah, let me show you those. So we both got 2 bags. I have one knit bag. So this is by Scheepjes, and they have some new merchandise, and yeah, so they have new tote bags, and this one is knitter themed. Hey look, my nail polish actually matches. Yeah, I really like it. So it's a knit swatch being locked, and oh, do I have anything in here? No, it's just these are my bigger business cards that I handed out with a little filet crochet pattern on there. Also a business card from my friend Michelle, who is Miss Knitwit. She has a blog, and primarily in Dutch, and a Instagram account, Miss Knitwit, and she I met her last year or earlier this year at another craft fair, so it's really nice to see her again. And she gave me this cute stitch marker. It's a tree. Yeah, so that's really cute. But back to the bags. Yeah, I also got this one, which I really love. It's Simmy's bike from Simmy's Studio, and there's yarn in the basket. It's cute. Here is all of the goodies I have accumulated the last 2 weeks. Oh my gosh, 2 weeks, can you imagine? So much yarn in 2 weeks. Okay, well, 3 balls in here were already from my stash, but I put them in here so I could show you what I plan to do with the new yarn. So wait, let's get some out first and show you what I got at the fair. Oh yeah, so there's this handy thing. This is a yarn cutter. So it looks like the thing on the back of a cowboy boot, you know what I mean? But then, so there are sharp things in between. I don't think you can actually cut yourself with them, but you know, I haven't tried, but I guess it's safe. They will let you take this on the plane, so that's the main reason. Oh, let me actually demonstrate it by snipping off this yarn and sew. So you hold the yarn and then use the cutter to just snip the yarn. It's really easy. So you can pack this in your bag when you need a pair of scissors on the go, but you don't want the pointy scissors to ruin your bag or to get lost at the airport when they have to throw it out. I'm stuffing all of the goodies that I want to show you later behind my bag. Yeah, so at the Kreadoe we were handing out these beautiful pattern booklets. I have 2 different kinds. One is the Dreamcatcher shawl by Helda Panagari. and it's this beautiful lacy crochet shawl. It's really beautiful. And it's made with 1 cake of Scheepjes yarns. It's a gradient yarn cake. You can see all of the colors in here. Ooh, it's pretty. Yeah, so it's really pretty shawl. So I got a copy of that, and I also got a copy of the Essence shawl by Amanda Beaumont. And Amanda is a friend of mine and also a viewer of the podcast, so hi Amanda! And Amanda designed this beautiful knit shawl for one of the Scheepjes yarn after parties. And it's also made with 1 cake of Scheepjes whirl. So you can see the gradient. So this one goes from dark pink to light gray. And yeah, it's just really pretty. So this is the knit, a knit shawl. This is really pretty and really huge. Can you tell? Yeah. So Amanda, I'm looking forward to seeing more of your fantastic designs. Yeah, so I got those, and they also let me pick one of the Scheepjes yarn cakes. So I got this one. I really like these colors. Yeah, I have to, there's something I want to share, but I can't do it yet, so I'll save that for next episode, probably. Yeah, so this one is called Banana Cream High, and it is light beige, yellow, dark blue, and then some purple and lavender purple pastel-y goodies. Yeah, so that is gorgeous. It has 220 grams and about 1,000 meters. So yeah, that's enough for either of these shawls. And also for my breeze block shawl, which is still available in my Ravelry store, and also the freeze blocks shawl, which is the winter version of that shawl. It's with an added strand of mohair, is also available now. So those shawls are very similar, so I've decided if you purchase the one, then you will get the other one for free. And everyone who has bought the pattern up until now will also receive an update with the mohair version included. So yeah, that's my little holiday gift from me to you. So it's buy one, get one. And yeah, I just love these yarns. So I'm excited to work with it again. So that was what I got at the Kreadoe. And ooh, it's raining all of a sudden. It's still sunny outside, but it's suddenly raining. Okay. And there's one other thing that was presented at the Kreadoe, and it's right in front of me, but if I lean over, then all of the yarn behind my back will fall. So I'm gonna talk about that last. And now, let's see what I can find. All right, yeah. So, a friend of mine, who is Alexandra, has her own hand-dyed yarn company, which is called Het Wolbeest, and it's also a store in Zwalmen, where it's in my province here in the Netherlands. It's really close by. So Het Wolbeest, she sells hand-dyed yarn and also some other yarn online, and she has recently uploaded some hand-dyed self-striping yarns, and it's gorgeous. Ooh, it's very bright, isn't it? Yeah, look at this. It's a Alice in Wonderland inspired colorway. This one is called the Mad Hatter. And it has lots of bright orange, bright purple, no, pink, bright pink. And some brown and some green, and yeah, it's beautiful. I'll show you a close-up. I hand found it myself since it just came in a hank or in a skein. And I also got a contrasting mini to go with it. And I've actually been thinking to use these two yarns together for the ribbing, to do a corrugated rib, is that the word? Like a color work rib. And I think that would be really pretty. Yeah, so this is gonna be a pair of socks for me. Yeah, so excited to get started, but I'll have to finish the gift socks first. So let's put this back into the bag. And let me see what I have here. Right, so I also made a purchase at Studio Maze, which is, oh, I forgot her name. Is it Caroline? I think so, Caroline. She's a Belgium indie dyer. And she dyes beautiful shades of yarn, very natural, a lot of blues and browns and greens and pinks. So beautiful, and also they're all very muted. And I've been eyeing one of her sock sets for a while. This is the Fawn sock set, and it features a brown like kind of caramelly shade with white spots. You see those, like undyed spots? And there are two minis. And although this is a sock set, it's 100% superwash blue-faced Leicester, so there's not any nylon, and I'm not sure if blue-faced Leicester is strong enough for socks. But it's not gonna matter much because I'm not planning on making any socks with these. I was planning to do them at first, but then I saw the fiber content and I thought, maybe not. So this one is 100 grams and these are both 25 grams. So those are really generous mini skeins. They're fingering weights. Yeah. So I got this one. Oh, right, and it also comes with a little tiny stitch marker right here. And I'm gonna tell you my plans for them later. And I also got a beautiful skein of hand-dyed singles yarn. And I believe this is a yak base. Yeah, it's yak single, so it's 65% superwash merino, 20% silk. Oh wow, I hadn't read about that yet. And 15% yak. It's 120 grams, so that's a really generous skein. Yeah, and it was a one-of-a-kind colorway. I was actually planning on getting 2 of these, but you know, there was only one, so it's really pretty. It's kind of silvery gray, but with a pink hue to it. And I think you can see it. Yeah, it has a pink hue, and there is some yellow and some blue. It actually matches my wall pretty well. And it also comes with a stitch marker. Oh, did I show you her tag? So it's Studio Maze. from Belgium. And let me share my ideas. So as some of you know, I have bought the pattern for the Aura shawl by Caitlin Hunter, and I am planning to knit her shawl already for a very long time, and I've shared multiple color combination ideas. But now I feel, looking at those color combinations, you know, there's a lot of pink, and I don't know if I want a pink shawl that's that big, since, you know, I am the mystery knit along shawl is also big and pink. And yeah, I thought I might just go for a more neutral shawl. And then I saw this. This would be very nice. And because the Aura shawl calls for 200 grams skeins and 2 minis, that I thought this would be perfect. And then I would have to combine it with another yarn. So I was thinking maybe this. This is also a yarn I got from Belgium, by the way. It's the brand is called Caramelletje, and it's 89% alpaca, 11% polyamide. It's 50 grams. So I was just stumped as to what I was supposed to knit with this. It's boucle yarn. Can you see that? Yeah, so it's very curly. It has a really fun texture, but I was just stumped on what to knit with this. But I thought if I would combine it, it would maybe work out all right. And maybe I should not knit it single-stranded, but maybe add a little strand of something. And I think, so this is mohair, this Scheepjes mohair I had left over, or maybe the alpaca, I don't know, or maybe leave the boucle yarn out and do this, then it will be very blue. Yeah, I think I would need this. Yeah, it's very nice. Yeah, so I might hold this together, these two yarns. I think that would be very nice. Can't really show you, I'm sorry. Yeah, so this might become my Aura shawl. Yeah, but yeah, those are my plans. So who knows, I will finally cast on that shawl. And for the other skein of Studio Maize I got, this one of a kind, I noticed that the color was very similar to this leftover sock yarn I still had in my stash. So this is Onion yarn. That's a brand, Onion. I think it's Danish yarn. And I thought that matches really well. And I was thinking of doing another shawl with that. Maybe a design, I don't know. So yeah, we'll see. But I thought these looked really great together, and yeah, it might make a really nice, just this would be the main body of the shawl, or you know, more of a shawlette, and this would be the border. I'll have to check if there's a pattern what kind of resembles what I have in mind, or I would just, you know, make up something myself. And then the final yarn acquisition of the last couple of weeks. Well, no, it's not. It's the second to last, but the last hand-dyed yarn. So So I was enabled by Amy from the Stranded podcast to purchase this yarn. And I'm sure if you watch her podcast that you will recognize it. So it's the Red Riding Hood colorway by Nicole C. Mendez. She's a hand dyer from Germany. It's NicoleCMendez.etsy.com. And yeah, it's a little Red Riding Hood colorway, 75% wool, 25% nylon. And it's a self-striping yarn, and it's so pretty. Oh, I love it. I really, really love it. Yeah, and seeing those gorgeous socks that Amy knit out of these, yeah, I want to have a pair like that for myself. Yeah. I was debating if I should make something else with it, maybe some gloves or hand warmers, but yeah, I need to have some more self-striping socks, and yeah, this will be perfect. And I think I'm gonna do a afterthought heel, so the heel with the same yarn, so that is also stripy, or maybe, yeah, because I don't have a lot of minis, but maybe I could use some other leftover sock yarn. No. Yeah, we'll see about that. But for now, I'm thinking just a sock entirely out of this colorway with an afterthought heel, so I can get the stripy part there as well. Yeah, so a lot of yarn. Oh my god. I was thinking of leaving it still packed and only unpacking it at Christmas, but I don't have the discipline for that. Now, there's one more product I would love to share with you, and it's a new Scheepjes product which they've asked me to review, and I was more than happy to oblige. And it's the new Studio Pack by Scheepjes, and if you have been watching my Instagram stories, you will have seen a sneak peek of it. So the Studio Pack, let me show you. It features a magnetic board, so two actually, one big one and one small one, and some magnetic shade cards, which is, come on, magnetic shade cards, that's amazing. And also one big box of yarn. Yeah, so let me show you the big magnetic board. Isn't it pretty? Yeah, so it's a big magnetic board. I haven't decided where I will mount it yet, because I was tempted to put it on this wall, but then so I can just pin different things on it each week or each episode, and then you would see my inspiration and I could point to it, and that would be really nice. But also I just kind of like this wall, and I wanted to stay uncluttered, if you know what I mean. So I think I'm gonna put it on the other wall here, and yeah, that would be best, because so right in front of me now, behind the tripod, there's the table or the desk I usually sit at, and then if I look to the right, there would be my huge memo board where I could, you know, kind of a mood board actually, where I then put my inspiration. And if I would put it on this wall, I would have to, you know, it's, if I would have it on the wall right to the right here, it would be better for my creative process. Yeah, So I think I'm gonna do that. So I got this little tin, and it holds the shade cards. So a lot of them. I chose the Katona option. So there are two different studio packs. One is the Callista option and one is the Katona option. They will both be in stores from November 22nd. It's not on here. 22nd or November 24th. So, so the Katona is the fingering cotton, and the Callista is the kind of worsted option, cotton. Worsted cotton option, yeah. So there's these shade cards, and then there are magnet strips, which you can paste onto the back of said shade cards. So I've cut this shade card to size. I've cut off the yarn name Katona because I will know that this is Katona. Of course, I have not cut off the colorway numbers because that would be stupid, although it would be something I would do. And I've also cut off the excess paper on the sides, and then I can stick the magnet to the back and then cut out the different shades like I have done with a different set. And I just end up with all these little, you know, shade cards. So that's fun. And then you can just stick it to the magnet board, just because having cards is great when you just want to choose one color for a project. But if you want to choose multiple colors for the same project, it isn't really handy to have a static shade card like this. And to then be able to take those colors and put them together, that would just be, you know, so much more easy for the designing and, you know, color combining part. Not even for designing, it could just be if you want to make a pattern but not in the colors that the pattern suggests. It's just really easy. And they also have a bunch of these clips. Sorry for the metal clanking. So they have a magnet at the back, and then you can clip, for example, a swatch or a piece of ribbon, or you know, something else, maybe a motif that you want to combine with that project, or that maybe inspires you, or even just a photo, or, you know, anything. Yeah, so you can just clip that and stick it onto the magnet board. So I'm really excited to get creative with that. Of course, then there's the yarn that came with the studio pack. So as I mentioned, I got the Katona option. The Katona is the fingering weight cotton by Scheepjes, and it comes in these. They also come separately, so if you don't want the magnet board or the shade cards, you can just get the color pack. And it features all of the Katona colors that Scheepjes has. So yeah, it's a lot of yarn. There are 109 shades, I believe. Yeah, so it's a lot of yarn. And I plan to use these for new bird kits. As some of you know, I have some bird crochet kits in my Etsy shop, and at the moment I just have a bluebird and a robin, and I am planning for a lot more different bird species. So I have a kingfisher I would like to crochet, a flamingo, a heron, just yeah, a lot of bird species, and I'm excited to use these, this box for that. So yeah, oh my gosh, I still have something else I want to mention. So these were all the goodies. So maybe even better than all of these goodies was that I got to meet up with Caitlin from the Wooljewel Podcast last week. She and her husband Ben were traveling to Amsterdam, and they decided to stop over at Maastricht, which is a city really close to me. And yeah, we arranged a meetup. So that was really fun. Caitlin lives somewhere in Germany, and so driving from there to Amsterdam, they kind of passed where I live, so we decided to meet up. And they had their adorable cat with them, which is really fun. We just they could only stay for a couple hours, of course, as they already had a long journey up to Maastricht, and then to Amsterdam it's another 2 hours if you're lucky. It was just so much fun to meet them, and we got to hang out and just shop for a bit and have a drink, and it was just really fun, and I hope we get to meet up again sometime. She mentioned, Caitlin mentioned that she was going to visit the Edinburgh Yarn Festival next year, which is in March. I'm not sure if I'm gonna make it because there's another yarn festival I would like to go to in March. So we'll see about that, but I'm sure we'll meet again sometime, because, you know, she only lives about 3 hours away from me. Yeah, so that was a lot of fun. Hi Caitlin, if you're watching this. Yeah, meeting other fiber enthusiasts is always a lot of fun, and even more so when they're podcasters and you've already kind of met each other online, and yeah, it's just really fun, and just an example of how great the knitting community can be. So I think I've babbled along long enough for now. And oh right, there is one other thing I'd like to mention. I mentioned last episode that I was gonna talk to my manager at work and see if it was possible for me to work part-time instead of full-time, and then have one day off when I would be home and work on my designs. And you know, we're still discussing that. So yeah, for all of those of you who wished me good luck, thank you so much, and I will keep you updated about that. Yeah, so that was it for me this week, this time. Thank you all so much for watching, and if you sticked around right to the end, thank you. I know it's a lot. Yeah, but still, I hope you enjoyed it, and there is lots more fibery goodness to come from me. So if you're interested at keeping up to date with me in the meantime, between podcast episodes, be sure to check out my Instagram feed, crafty_queens for the moment, and I will see you again in another 2 weeks. Okay, bye bye.